Hey guys, down here, welcome back to another video, and in this one I will familiarize rooting, installing custom ROM and modding Android. Disclaimer, this video is not a step-by-step guide to root and install a custom ROM on your Android phone XYZ. In fact, it is impossible to make a universal guide video about this topic. Each phone requires a different set of steps, but I can help you by explaining technical terms, process, where to find resources, communities, and etc. Alright, these are the timestamps for the contents in this video, so feel free to jump into any point. Okay, let's start with the routing. So your phone has the files like photos, videos, files you use and access, files you can access and delete. But there are some system files which is essential to keep the phone alive. If you delete those files, you can end up with the phone like nothing but a brick. Yeah, it's an actual term used for that state. So to avoid users from deleting these files, the manufacturers of the phone will lock the access of those files. Breaking this lock and gaining the permission to access these files is called root access. Android is a Linux-based operating system. Your Android phone uses Linux permission and file system. You're a user when you're signing in and you're allowed to do certain things based on your user permissions. Apps you install are also given a type of user ID, and they all have permission to do certain things. You see those app permission requests when you first open apps. In Linux, there is one more user ID called super user, also known as root. The difference is the root user has the permission to do anything to any file anywhere in the system. This includes the things you want to do, like uninstalling system apps. When you root your Android, you're simply adding a standard Linux function that was removed. A small file called SU, stands for switch user, is placed in the system and given permissions so that another user can run it. That's basically what you're doing when you root your Android. Next, root manager. Okay, now you have root access, but you need something to manage that root access. Because having root access to an app is too much power for that app. An app can literally kill a phone or brick the phone if it wants to by, I don't know, maybe changing the voltage and stuff. Another reason why root access is denied by default. Root Manager is an Android application. It works as sort of gatekeeper to the root access for other apps. Apps which attempt to request root will be forced to root through the Root Manager, which will then prompt the user if it is an unknown or new application. The user then has the option to approving or denying access to root by doing this. Super SU was the classic OG root manager for a very long time, but Magic, another root manager, replaced Super SU for the last couple of years. These two popular tools are used for some of the same things, but they work in vastly different ways. Before explaining that, we need to understand what are Android partitions. Basically, this is where the Android software and every data on your phone is distributed. First one is boot. This is the partition that has all the data necessary for the phone to boot. It includes the kernel and the RAM disk for RAM memory management. Without this partition, the device will simply not be able to boot. Number 2, system. This partition basically contains the entire operating system, obviously except the kernel and RAM disk. This includes the interface, system app, etc. Without this partition, the device will also not be able to boot, but you will still be able to boot into the recovery partition and load system partition. Next one is recovery. As the name suggests, it is recovery software that lets you boot the device into recovery mode for performing advanced recovery and maintenance operations on it, like installing a custom ROM. Next, data. This partition includes all user data like contacts, messages, photos, videos, also the apps you install on your device. Wiping this partition essentially performs a factory reset on your device, restoring it to the way it was when you first bought the device. For now, this is enough to understand how things work. Okay, let's get back to the Super SU and Magisk. Okay, first let's talk about how Super SU achieves root. Super SU changes the system files and adds new files into the system partition on the phone. This method worked fine until around Android 6 Marshmallow, when Google strengthened the security. Modifying the system partition sends up a red flag to the apps that try to detect root. Google's safety net is an API that monitors the system and will block certain apps from working if interfere is detected, which means you can use Google Pay or Netflix with Super SU. You also won't be getting any updates once the system has been modified. On the other hand, Magisk is called a systemless root because it doesn't touch the system. It modifies the boot partition and leaves the system files untouched. Instead, the modifications are virtually overlaid on top of the original files. When something requests a system file, the modified version is sent in its place. But since all the system files are saved, safety net can be tricked into thinking everything is normal and above mentioned apps can work on a rooted phone. Plus, Magisk also support modules. The modules are installable modes that can do really cool things. Some of the best modes includes UI customization, emoji replacement, RAM management fixes. Another popular one is called Camera to API Enabler. A lot of people root their phone just to get this feature. In the last couple of years, a camera app called Gcam became really famous for its performance. But in order to install and use that app, Camera to API needs to be enabled, and this mode will do that if it is disabled by default. Okay, custom ROM. The term ROM stands for read-only memory, and it has very little to do with what a custom Android ROM actually is. Can be confusing. A custom Android ROM refers to a phone's software based on Android. Android is open source, and therefore any developer can edit the code and re-release for a wide variety of devices. ROMs are developed by the Android community, oftentimes a group of code developers who do this purely out of their passion for modding. This means that most are completely free. A custom ROM can offer your device better performance, better battery, more features, and more. But there are bad custom ROMs out there too. When you buy your Android device, it comes with what we call a stock ROM or the stock firmware. This refers to the pre-installed operating system. As I mentioned in the recovery partition, to install a custom ROM, you need to get into recovery mode. But the stock recovery mode won't allow any custom ROM to install other than stock ROM. So to overcome this, you need to install a custom recovery. A custom recovery is a third-party recovery software. Installing this recovery environment onto your device replaces the default stock recovery with a third-party one. This is a bit like flashing, also known as installing a custom ROM like MIUI. But instead of replacing your Android operating system, it replaces the recovery. A custom recovery holds a lot of benefits other than the ability to install a custom ROM, like full backup of your Android device, flashing zips to easily root and add modes, better interface, and more. CWM and TWRP are the most commonly used recoveries. Again, these are custom made for each device. TWRP is text-based recovery and overall has more features compared to others. To install TWRP, you need the support of the computer most of the time, but also something called Bootloader needs to be unlocked. In the simplest terms, a bootloader is a piece of software that runs every time your phone starts up. The bootloader starts up the Android operating system when you turn on your device. Alternatively, the bootloader can start up your recovery also, so it tells the phone what program to load in order to make your Android phone run. Some bootloader, however, contains the extra layer of security that checks to make sure that it only loads an operating system like the stock ROM. This is called locked bootloader. A locked bootloader means you can install your own custom ROM. For most people that's fine, but we are not the most people. Unlocking the bootloader is easy as executing a single line of code for some phones, but for some devices may require to get the code from the manufacturer and things can get complicated. Also, unlocking the bootloader will void your warranty for some manufacturers. Manufacturers like Pixel, OnePlus, Xiaomi will not take back the warranty if you root your device or unlock the bootloader. So one more thing to consider when you buy your next phone. Okay, the last piece of software in the video is called Fastboot. Fastboot is a special engineering protocol that you can boot your Android device into. It's like recovery mode, but there is no interface to interact in your phone. However, while in Fastboot, you can modify the file system images, unlock the bootloader, and more from a computer over a USB connection with the help of a software like ADB. So most of the time, this is where you start the journey of Android modding. Before winding up, you also need to find resources to do all this modding. The number one place is always xtiadevelopers.com. It's like a Wikipedia of Android modding. Also, there are active manufacturer-based forums available, and once there are resources available, there will be always tutorials on YouTube to follow. And that's it. This is just a basic run through over the essentials, but I hope this is enough to clear the fog about modding Android and motivate you enough to get into this ship. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.